So Jake Paul has picked his next opponent, and surprise, surprise, it's another mixed martial artist. This time it's Tyron Woodley. They'll be fighting in an 8-round fight at 190 pounds, and it goes down on August the 28th. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the fact that it's Tyron Woodley that's fighting boxing Jake Paul next. Before I do, my name's Rahul J. Chandis, the Battle Camp. Thank you very much for joining me. First and foremost, I didn't think I'd be sat here making another video about one of the Paul brothers so soon after my last video about one of the Paul brothers. But then again, I didn't think that he'd be picking another mixed martial artist to box next. The reason is I didn't think that there's anybody available that has some commercial viability in terms of an opponent for Jake Paul in a boxing match whose skill set is only incrementally better than Ben Askren's. I feel like Tyron Woodley's skill set is exponentially better than Ben Askren, especially when it comes to throwing hands. So this is a bit of a risk on Jake Paul's part, so fair play to him, hats off. I respect the fact that he's chosen Tyron Woodley, but at the same time I do think from his point of view, from his team's point of view, they're probably looking at this as a calculated risk, because they probably feel this is a winnable fight. Because let's face it, Tyron Woodley's in his late 30s and he's lost his last 4 fights, and he hasn't looked like the peak Tyron Woodley that we've seen perform in the octagon for a number of years now. You know, he's in the twilight of his fighting career. But I'm not here to break down the fight or kind of provide a prediction. Like I said, I just want to talk about the fact that it's Tyron Woodley, because Tyron Woodley's a guy that has divided opinion amongst the MMA community over his career within the UFC, to be honest. He's a guy that was calling for, and I used to hate this term back when it was being used a lot more often than it is currently, but he was a guy that was calling for the money fight. For it just seemed like every interview that he was involved in, it was something that he would bring up, and it was an opportunity that he never got. He never got to face a big star within the UFC, and I find it quite ironic that this fight against Jake Paul is going to be his career high payday. Everything that he accomplished, winning the UFC welterweight title and defending it multiple occasions, and his biggest ever payday is a boxing match against a YouTuber. That's ironic, isn't it? I mean, I don't really know what to make of that. I mean, like I've said on here before that I don't hate Jake Paul. I don't mind the fact that Jake Paul wants to box, man. I understand what he's doing. I understand why he behaves the way he does on social media. I understand why he behaves the way he does on digital platforms and things of that nature. Like, I understand that he needs to get people to hate him, because he already has his fans and supporters. They're already going to watch him fight. He's just trying to get the rest of us to hate him. So the people that weren't really aware of who he was before all of this fighting stuff, so we tune in to watch him fight and hopefully watch him lose. And he's got me. Like, I'm interested in this fight. Like, I can't sit here and tell you guys of how I think, or this fight, you know, Tyron Woodley's definitely going to win, or Jake Paul's definitely going to knock Tyron Woodley out. And I want to see what happens, man. I'm not ashamed to say that, or I am a little bit ashamed to say that I'm interested in this, and I'll probably be watching it. And the fact that Jake Paul and his antics have provided a platform where Ben Askren and Tyron Woodley are both earning their highest ever paydays, how can you hate it if you're a fan of mixed martial arts? You can't really, can you? You can't hate the guy for it, because he's doing something for these fighters. It's not like it's just a situation where he's the only one that stands to gain. Ben Askren's the guy that walked away with hundreds of thousands of dollars after he got knocked out in the first round, and Tyron Woodley's the guy that's going to be walking away with hundreds of thousands of dollars on August the 28th. The only negative in all of this, the only negative that I foresee, is the fact that it's on Showtime. And that's not the negative. The negative is the fact that Steven Espinoza will be standing up there in a press conference, and I guarantee it, he'll use the opportunity to throw shots at the UFC and Dana White. He'll be talking about how, oh, this is Tyron Woodley's biggest ever payday, and he'll throw a jab at the UFC while he's talking about this. And I just want to say here and now that if it wasn't on Showtime, it would be on Triller, and Tyron Woodley would be earning a similar amount to what he's going to be earning on Showtime. So this isn't something that Showtime and Steven Espinoza have facilitated. They've seen that it's a product that does well commercially, and they've invested in it. That's simply what it is. It's not their idea. It's nothing that they've produced themselves. Do you know what I mean? It's just an idea. They've seen how it's been performing in the past, and now they're going to muscle in and try and earn a dollar bill off it too. A positive and a very big positive of the fact that it's on Showtime is the fact that we're going to see the Morning Combat team. I'd assume, I'd hope we're going to see Brian Campbell and Luke Thomas involved in the coverage of this fight, because these are two guys that will have the ability to give Tyron Woodley the respect that he deserves, and show and be able to tell the audience what his accomplishments are and just how good he is, and just what he's delivered as a fighter and what he's been able to achieve as a fighter. And I'm glad that I'm saying I'm glad, like I already know it's going to happen, but I hope that the Morning Combat team are involved, because I feel like that will be giving Tyron Woodley the respect he deserves. One thing that they don't want to do is go down the road of Brendan Schaub, because I mean, you guys know how I feel about Brendan Schaub and his opinions on most things, especially mixed martial arts and boxing. So the less said about that, the better. Going back to Tyron Woodley, man, like, he's a guy that I've personally made videos about, and I've questioned his mind state at times, and I've questioned how he his own reflection of his own career, because I feel like he can be delusional at times. And that same kind of delusional instinct, delusions of grandeur that he has, I hope that doesn't come back to bite him in the bum on this occasion, because if he looks at Jake Paul as a guy that he's just gonna walk over, just easily knock him out, he's not going to be a test, oh, I'm way better than him, then he may come unstuck. And I'm going to say it here and now, I want Tyron Woodley to win. I want Tyron Woodley to beat Jake Paul. But he needs to be realistic about how good he is, and he needs to be realistic about how good Jake Paul is, and he needs to be realistic about the best route for him to win the fight and stick to a game plan that is devised on his behalf. I just hope he doesn't just go in there all guns blazing thinking that he's, you know, that it's just going to be a walk in the park for him, and it turns out that it's not. Because if he does lose, the timeline and the trolling for Tyron Woodley is going to be, there's going to be an avalanche of it. And this is the first time that I feel like I've seen the MMA Timeline united in support for Tyron Woodley. In fact, I feel like whenever Tyron Woodley's fought, majority of the support has been with his opponent. This is the first time that it feels like he's got everyone on side, you know. It's almost like MMA against you know, not even boxing, but Jake Paul. So I just hope he's able to put his best foot forward and give a good account of himself. But in order for him to do that, he can't be his usual kind of... Delusional feels like a strong word, you know. But there are kind of examples that I can pull up of him saying things that show him to be slightly delusional. So that's my only concern when it comes to Tyron Woodley. With that being said, look, I've already told you guys, I am slightly ashamed to say that I'm looking forward to this. I definitely will be watching this. I feel like this is an intriguing fight. But yeah, this is just my initial thoughts about the announcement itself. And I suppose there's only one way to end this video, but before I kind of end it the way in which I want to end it, please, if you've enjoyed this video, like, share it with a friend, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and let's just take it away. Falling in and out of love, in and out of love with you. Falling in and out of love, in and out of love with you. In and out of love, in and out of love with you. Falling in and out of love, in and out of love with you. Alright, I'll catch you guys later.